because actions speak louder than words, or we can see from your actions. In fact, not just the actions of one person, but most people we interact with from Rongo, this is how they carry themselves. It's a culture, I tell you. It's the way they do things around there. It's the culture. If you get there, everything is set. So now we come to the first part of the talk. How will you build that culture? You know, how is a culture built? And I literally mean the words I'm using, like how is it built? I'm using the word build. So I want you to think of building. I don't know if you've been involved in any building. Maybe you've built a Simba. Where I come from, you know, you build your Simba because the boys are not allowed to live in their mom's house after a certain age. So you have to build. You know, there's something about building, putting one stone on top of another or something, but it's building. So how do you build a culture? You obviously need the building blocks, or the stones or the bricks. There are some components that you use to build a culture. So I don't know if you've ever asked yourself what those components are. What are the building blocks of a culture? If you're to build a culture from scratch, you're told you're now the head of an organization, build a culture. Obviously, the first thing you'll think of is the vision. Okay, how do I want people to feel when they walk into this organization? What do I want to be the normal behavior, the way we do things around here? You picture something. Fine, now you've got a vision of what the culture is going to be like. But how will you build it? Like what are the building blocks? So I want you to really think of building, because we're going to do culture 101 over here, like how to build a culture from scratch. And so we absolutely need to know the building blocks. Now, this is my own idea. I think I'm right, but I can't give you any citation. But I think of values as the building blocks of culture. So what are the building blocks? Values. And depending on which culture you want to produce, you will pick a certain combination of values. So a certain combination will produce a culture. Remember, there are hundreds of values. And it has the feel of living in the mountains, and it has the wood, and there's a certain temperature you will have inside because the whole house is wooden. Or maybe the whole house is made of earth. Or the whole house is made of stone, and it'll be different from bricks. All of them are houses. They're all complete houses. They have a different feeling, even just the look, the outside look, the feeling inside, the way it reacts to temperature. It all depends on what you used to build that house. And so it has a certain flavor, you might say, which you might call the culture. So the final product is the culture. But depending on which final flavor you want to have, you will use different building blocks. You'll use a different combination of the building materials to produce the final effect that you want to have. And so you now have to go as far as which building blocks could possibly produce this kind of feeling or house that I want. And it's not to say that there's only one good kind of house. Not really. There are many good kind of houses. It also depends on what you want. Right now I'm having an argument with my mother about a house I'm supposed to build. And I'm a simple person. Maybe by now you've realized I'm a very, very simple, down-to-earth person. So for me, I don't need a sophisticated house. In fact, I've been telling her I would be very happy to live in a hut. Because when I grew up, when I used to go home to visit my grandparents, I would stay in a hut. So for me, going to Dala, that feeling of I'm in Dala is, I just think of a grass-thatched roof. I think of a mud hut, and I'm home. That feeling of home cannot be produced by something like this. But if I'm in a hut with a grass thatched roof, then I'm in Dala, I'm home. But of course, my mom disagrees. She says I'll be an embarrassment. She will not allow such a structure to be put up in her home. And it's her home, so I have to respect it. So right now, you might say we are on a truce, where she wants a certain kind of home, but I'm telling her that kind of home costs a lot of money, Mom. So I have to save, and the cost of cement and everything has gone up. So we're still having the discussion. I think she will win the battle. Actually, there's no way I can win this one. So as a son, I just have to save the money and build the kind of thing she wants in her home. That's fine. But you get the idea that depending on which feeling you want to have, you will use different building materials. And so the building blocks will be different. And there's no such thing as a good or a bad. I mean, there are different kinds of houses, and they're all good according to what you're looking for. So in my case, I want the authentic feel of going back to the village. And that for me is my definition of good. And I can make it elegant. I can make it such a good makuti, I can add some innovation, but still it has that authentic African touch that I'm looking for. And it'll be nice. It won't be a stone house, but Anyway, those are my dreams. So let me now get even more practical to organizations. Let's look at two great organizations. Let's look two great educational institutions. So one is Strathmore, but the other one is Starehe. I'm sure there's nobody in this room who's not heard of Starehe, because Starehe is an amazing educational institution. So now we compare the two. Are they excellent? Yes, definitely. So you'll get somebody who studied in Strathmore and somebody who studied in Starehe, and those are two fine individuals. They do excellent work. You'll associate someone who went to Strathmore with someone who can do a good job, and the same with Starehe. You look at somebody who went to Starehe, and you'll say, yeah, I can see, they're good. They're good at what they do. They're intelligent. They're hardworking. They have all those things, which you'll also find in a Strathmore person. And yet there'll be a difference when you walk into both institutions. And the difference, according to me, again, I can't cite anyone. This is my own personal observation. I think because the founder of Starehe, Griffin, had a military type background. He's one of the people who started the National Youth Service. He was a director of NYS. For those like me who have gone to NYS and graduated at Gilgil, we've been through the military force camp experience, and all that is Griffin. So obviously he brings that to the educational institution that he started. So there's a military type discipline when you go to Starehe. So they are very respectful, but the military type of respect, like, yes, sir. They'll sort of stand erect. You see a teacher, you'll stand up, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And, the teacher passes. And it's beautiful. It's what you see in the military, what all of us associate and respect to the military. Now you'll come to Strathmore, then you won't see the, yes, sir, you'll just see someone coming, hey, good morning, prof, how are you? How was your weekend? And then if you come from a different background, you might say, this is rude. How dare you greet a whole professor as if he's your age mate? Like, who asked you? Like, how dare you, And in fact, people who don't know Strathmore, when they come the first time, they think these students are rude. Then they realize, no, they're just friendly. Like, who said you can't say good morning to a professor? Like, actually, where is it written? Where is it written that you can't ask a professor, I hope you had a good weekend? Like, why should that be a problem? So now it's a different culture. You begin to notice the difference. So the difference is that in Strathmore, you'll also get respect, but it'll be more relaxed. It's not the regimental military type discipline. It's a discipline where They know where their limits are and how they should carry themselves and what they should deliver as a student to a professor. But at the same time, they realize that some of the differences that you see in other places don't apply here. That after all, you're just a human like me, and you had a weekend just like me, and I can ask you about it. In fact, they might even dare to ask you or to tease you and say, I'm so sorry about what happened with your team. I know you're a Man United fan. I wish you a happy rest of the week. And I'll tell the student, don't even talk to me. Just go away, go away. I don't even want to see you. And it's just banter. It's just people who like football teasing each other. And it's okay for the student to know that my team lost, because I can do the same to him. I can come and tell him, so what were you telling me last week? And it's fine. It's okay. It's just a different style. It's the way we do things around here. So now what's driving the difference between them? So in Starehe, it might be that discipline, that military discipline value that they hold. They'll sort of look at the military as the exemplar of where we want to get to. We want to reach this level of excellence and discipline. And that's the role model that they're looking at. Then for us, we're looking at a different kind of role model. In fact, in our case, the value that it's the only value where we've put two values in one. So even though we claim to have 8 values in Strathmore, one of them has 2 in one. So we call it freedom and responsibility. So we don't just say freedom, or we don't just say responsibility. We say freedom and responsibility, as if it's one value. Because we are signaling that the kind of freedom we advocate for is not the kind of freedom you might call license. You can do whatever you want. You're free to do whatever you want. There are no rules apply. No, that's not freedom. For us, that's what you call license, which is a bad word. It means anything goes. That's not what we're saying. So we're saying you're free, but you have to use your freedom responsibly. So you're free, but you can't just trespass on other people's freedoms. As you use your freedom, you've got to learn what your limits are. And it's part of your education. And that's how you operate in real life. So even the way maybe they'll come and tease me about my football team, they'll know there's another person they can't tease about the team, because that person's limits are somewhere further away. So they'll know that one, you don't joke with him about his football team. This one, you can joke with him. So being responsible is you know what your limits are, what your boundaries are, and meaning you become socially intelligent. You understand your limits. Because in real life, you can't treat everyone the same way. You have to be clever enough to know your limits. Where are you going to practice all these things if nobody teaches you? So in Strathmore, we give you the opportunity to experiment and to learn. And how will they learn? The hard way. So they'll come to me, they'll crack a joke, it's fine. They'll try and crack a joke with someone else, they realize it's not fine, because the fellow will be like, they'll realize this fellow is actually annoyed. So let me never talk that topic. So then they'll learn, okay, so you learn people, you learn psychology. By the time you graduate, you're quite intelligent socially. You know how to gauge people and where you can play the game. And so it's freedom, but with responsibility. You have to know your limits. You have to respect other people. You have to put them in a good place. You can't just trespass over them. That's license, doing whatever you want. So for us, there's freedom, but with responsibility. So we're not advocating for total freedom with no responsibility. Neither are we advocating the kind of responsibility where there's no freedom. You have to do this. This is the only way things are ever done. And that's how it is in the military. You cannot interpret this in 2 different ways. If we say right turn, it's right turn at a 90 degrees angle. There's not 91 degrees, not 89 degrees, 90 degrees. This is the military precision, accuracy, no deviations, that kind of responsibility. 0 freedom. Do not attempt to modify anything. No latitude. So in our case, we're like, you're responsible, but yes, there's freedom. You can play with the interpretation up to a point. How will you know you've gone too far? Don't worry, you will know. The kiboko will hit you on the head, and then you'll know that you can't win this battle, or you went too far. Or you might find you're punching too low. Someone will tell you, relax, you look so tense. Then you realize, you mean I could have gone a bit further. So then, okay, with this person, I know I can crack jokes. With this other one, I know I can't. So it's freedom and responsibility, learning the tension between the two. And that's why for us, we call it one value, freedom and responsibility. Now I'm going to go to the very first part of the talk, which is what a value is. So we've said it's the building block for a culture. But what exactly are values? Why do we even talk about it? Why is it such an important buzzword in the business world? People are very, very proud of, these are our core values. They'll put it on some banner, they'll put it on your, PowerPoints, on your screensavers. It's a big deal all over the world. But have you ever asked yourself, what is the magic in the word value? Like, why are we even talking about values? Why aren't we talking about other things like virtues? Why aren't we talking about principles of governance? There are so many things we could talk about. Why do people talk about values? Like, what is the magic? Is there some secret power in the word value? Like, I want to understand that, and I think you need to understand it. Because otherwise it's just a story. You'll just say, yeah, it's just marketing blub. You know, the way they talk about logos and brand identity. I don't believe in that stuff. It's just marketing. So values is another one of those words that they use just to comply, to say, even us, we have a value. We have our core values. These are our core values. Now we're good. We have a logo. Great, we have a logo. Finally, we have a logo, so we belong. We belong to the world of people who have logos, who have brand identities, who have values, who have a mission statement, a vision statement. We're good, we belong. Then he says, so what does the mission statement read? I don't know, I have to read it. Let me take it out. Which means you never refer to it, which means it means nothing. Or you're saying, and your vision? Yeah, we have a vision statement. We're compliant. We're like other institutions. Then you ask, so what's the vision? Say, well, I have to refer. Let me refer. Now, if I didn't ask you, it means you wouldn't have referred. So at what point are you following the vision? Like when? When do you ever follow the vision? If you don't know where you're going, basically when I ask about the vision, I'm asking you, where are you going? Then you're saying, I'm going somewhere really good. Like where? Oh, I need to refer. Let me refer to where I'm going. You don't do that. You know where, if you're going somewhere, you know where you're going. If you can't tell me where you're going, then you don't know where you're going. Although that's not true. You always know where you are going. Maybe you don't know where the institution is going. You're like, I don't care. I know where I'm going. I'm here to earn a salary and a promotion, and then I'll move to this and that. And so you know where you're going. But if someone asks you, where is Rongo going? You're like, I have to refer. Then you're not going where Rongo is going because you don't know. When I was coming here, I was constantly referring, okay, so now I'm heading south from Homa Bay. So where's the lake? No, it's behind me. I was thinking it's on my... So I was constantly orienting myself in order to, even just without the Google Maps, to picture how to get to Rongo. So I needed to see where I'm going. Otherwise, we'd never get here. And even 4 kilometers before here, the driver pulled over saying, I think we passed the turning. I told him, no, we didn't. My map says Rongo is still ahead. Then he says, but I always bring the sports teams to play somewhere here. He says, yeah, but I'm not going to the sports grounds. We're going to a place called Senate Chambers. Senate Chambers. And so it's definitely, and he's come here so many times because of sports, and Strathmore is really keen on sports. So we've come to Rongo before, but he knows the sports grounds. But at least we were following a map. We knew where we were going. If you don't know, if you can't tell me immediately, then it means you're not headed there. You might even think, I know I'm generally headed there. No, you don't know where you're going. So eventually, all these things become words. We have a logo, we have a motto, we have a mission statement, we have a vision statement, and we have our core values. Then we ask, what are the core values? Let me refer. It means nothing. I mean, let's just accept it. But my question to you is, why do other people talk about it as if it means something? Surely there's something you haven't understood, which if you understood would make you see why people talk about values, why it's such a big deal. So that's what I'm inviting you to do right now. Ask yourself, what is the magic in this word values that makes people talk about it so much? Like today, I want to actually understand it, and I'll help you to understand it. I hope the Dean for Education is enjoying this, the teaching, using the what do we call the teaching? The pedagogy. So I'm using this pedagogical style of, before I give you the definition, I invite you to define it for yourself. Because if you don't do it, then you won't learn. Unless there's a question mark in your head, unless there's a placeholder, like a temporary definition, then there's no chance of learning. For you to learn, you have to be curious. Hopefully, I've built up the curiosity right now. And I understand you're not coming from a vacuum. You must know something about values for sure. So I want you to come from there. I want you to articulate it to yourself. You're not telling anyone this, but I want you to just pause for a few seconds and ask yourself, when all is said and done, what do I think a value is? Because maybe I might learn something today. Maybe my definition is spot on. Maybe it needs an adjustment. Maybe when I adjust it, I will finally see the magic. But for me to see the magic, I have to come from somewhere. So you move from the known to the unknown, correct? It's all pedagogy. We're all teachers here. We're all teaching in one form or another. Even if you're an administrator, you are working in an educational institution. You are constantly teaching. Even the way you do your work and people walk into your office and the way you serve them is an example of how they should serve other people. You are a teacher, whether you like it or not. Once you're in Rongo University, everyone is a teacher. And so you move from the known to the unknown. For sure, you have some rough idea what a value is. So, since I've been speaking, I'll give you actually 30 seconds to articulate it to yourself. If you're writing, feel free to write it, and then you'll compare with my definition. So I'll give you the 30 seconds now. Okay, so by now you have some idea of what you think a value is. And if I was to ask you what kind of a thing is a value? So that's a philosophical question. I know we have a philosopher here. So he's nodding in approval. Yes, please tell them. So what kind of a being or a thing or a category is a value? The way, I'd say, a phone. What is a phone? Then you might say, well, it's a device. So you'll start with the genus. I know you people are also into science, so now Prof. Gudu is beginning to nod. He's also saying, tell them, Vincent, genus, species, specific difference, tell them. How else will they define anything? So what's the genus? Like, what is the general kind of thing? So a phone it's a device. What is a value? So this is a device, but obviously a device does something. Now you start getting to the specific difference, to the species. It could be a device that facilitates communication through voice, through text. There are so many different ways. In the past, it was mostly a telephone. Nowadays, it's mostly like a smartphone, which is doing more of data than of voice. I'm sure by now, most of you use your phones 90% for data and maybe 10% for voice. You compare how many times you actually talk to someone on your phone in a day, compared to how many times you look at your phone and you respond and you do something. Maybe 90% is too low. Maybe it's 99%. So anyway, so it's a device that facilitates communication over the medium of, voice, text. I mean, you can keep getting more and more specific. So what is a value? Like the grand thing, like what kind of a thing is a value? Now, if you ask me, and the way you act or behave. So a value is a belief that is so deep that it actually controls the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you behave or the way you act. That for me is what a value is. If you ask different people, I used to be an economist, so I joke with some of my students. I say, when they tell me, I'm doing financial economics, then I'll say, I'm a recovering economist, or I'm a recovering financial economist. And they're like, why recovering? Why did you give up? So anyway, we joke about that. But the economist might tell you, no, a value is something that you hold dear. It's something that is important to you. It's of great significance to you. And I'm not going to argue with the economist because, like I said, I'm a recovering economist. It was my first love in academia, but I realized I'm more interested in people not as an aggregate, but as individuals. So instead of what will a whole country decide if we do this, how will they behave? Will prices go up or down? I'm more interested in what is going on in the head of Owino, Kamau, what is going on in Wanjiku's head? Like, that's what I'm interested in. So an economist might say, no, a value is something that is important to you. And I kind of agree with that. So for me, that deep belief is about something important to you. So I'll incorporate the economist's angle there. So it's a deep belief about something important to you. It's a belief that is so deep that it controls the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you act. Let's look at the way you think. So meaning how you make your judgments. So you hear that some people from I don't know where used a very clever way of engineering the IT system such that they get like 0.5% of every transaction. And no one notices, and then they become rich. So you hear about that. So I've just made a statement. And the sort of transactions we're talking about are running in the millions and billions. So within a year, these people will have a few 100 million just by shaving off like 0.5% of, these transactions, just because they were so clever at how they would grab some of this money. So you've heard me make a statement. So ask yourself, what's my reaction? What's my judgment? If my judgment is, wow, that is so clever. That's amazing. Like, why didn't I think of that? Why wasn't I in a position to do something like that? That speaks to the kind of person you are and the values that you hold. So if your first judgment is, wow, that's so clever. Your first judgment wasn't, that's terrible. How can you steal from people? Even if it's 0.05, I don't care. This is stealing. You didn't react like that. in your heart of hearts, okay, no one's watching you. This is your first reaction inside of you. Your judgment was, how did they do it? Because I'd really like to know, because this is very interesting, like very clever. I mean, Kenyans are so clever, my goodness. Gosh, you know, that speaks to the kind of values and deep beliefs that you have. And then if you're told that 0.5%, if you're told this is like, I don't know, Shah, and it's the whole country. And so you're taking from, you know, millions of people in the country. Now we look for your emotional reaction. Okay, we've looked at your judgment, your thinking. What's your reaction? If your reaction is, gosh, if it's millions of people, then that's a lot of money. Gosh, this is even cleverer than I thought. I thought they're just grabbing from a few individuals. You mean they're grabbing from everyone? Like the whole country? Really? This is so clever. My gosh. That's your emotional reaction. It tells you about your deep beliefs. If your emotional reaction is, they're stealing from whom? Like the mamambogas? Like, who would do a thing like that? Who would steal from the poor? This is terrible. Like, you're even angry. Your emotional response is anger. Then it tells you about your values, your deep beliefs. Like, I believe in fairness, in justice, in integrity, so much so that if I hear someone stealing, I'm already annoyed. But someone stealing from a poor person, I'll get angry. Like, I'll actually say, who the heck, who are these people? You know, so that's your emotional response. It speaks to your deep values. And then finally to your acts. So what do you do about it? I'm gonna write about it. I'm gonna talk to people. Because I can't just sit here and watch this happening. That speaks to your values. So your value is such a deep, it's a belief that is so deep that your first reaction is the type I'm describing. Like you said, that's bad. And who are they stealing from? Everyone. That's terrible. That's terrible. And what are you gonna do? I'm gonna speak out against it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So that speaks to your values. And remember, you're a product of the places that you grew up in, starting from your family. Then maybe the community, the church, the schools you went to, the mentors you had, they all influence you. And one of my best examples is from somebody I was in school with. He's a Ugandan. And very bright guy, but also full of life, can be a bit naughty every now and then when we were in school. So he told me that there's a day when he was really naughty at home. So naughty that, in fact, just sleep. I don't want to see you. No dinner for you. Because you can't do this in this house. And then the dad just said, no, we can't do that. Because they come from a family called Mboas. So he said, never has it been known that a Mboa goes to bed hungry. And the dad is watching, like, what would my grandparents say? What would my father say if I sent a child of mine to bed hungry? Like, no matter what he's done, we Mboas feed our children. I will beat the hell out of him tomorrow. Guaranteed. He's going to be punished. But this is not one of the punishments that is included in our rule book as the Mboas, because never has it been known for a Mboa to send a child of theirs hungry. Like, we don't do that. And the dad was adamant, because it was a deep belief. He felt as if the ancestors will rise and protest. Like, you sent one of us hungry to bed? It doesn't matter what he did. This doesn't happen in this family. This is just simply not done. Our values do not allow us to do such a thing. So the dad defended him, but he was given hell the next day. In fact, he was wishing the dad had just let him be punished by missing dinner, then everyone forgets the next day. But it also stuck in his mind that I belong to a family that has traditions. Until today, he's proud. He stands forward. He owns a company, a tech company, and he's always proud, like, I'm Mboa. So when he says that, of course it's with a lot of pride because he knows it comes with traditions, values. This is how we Mboas carry ourselves. It's a culture built by the Mboa values. And so for me, I just loved it. Like, never, like Mboa can't do that. So depending on where you were brought up and the values there, you'll react differently in different situations. So let's say now you walk out of Rongo campus. You're heading towards one of the shopping centers. Maybe you're going to the learning center. I saw a Rongo town learning center. So you're heading there. Then you see someone lying on the side of the road. Okay, what's your reaction? So maybe you're like, probably another drunkard. These people should stop drinking. Anyway, none of my business. So you've concluded, you've done nothing. Maybe it's where you've been raised or whatever values you have. But someone else will say, what would my mom say if she realized I walked past somebody who might be in need? Like she would say, did I raise you in this home? Did you actually grow up? Are you my son? I can't even recognize you. Are you my daughter? How dare you walk past? So you just picture your mom and you're like, okay, let me not argue with my mom. Let me just stop and check if it really is a drunkard. Then you check, and if it's a drunkard, you're like, okay, But then you realize, wait, the person is bleeding. There was an accident. It's a hit and run. Now what do? Maybe there's a crowd there. You're like, there's a crowd. No, the crowds, no one does anything. Unless one person who's a leader stands and says, let's do something. And I've done this many times, okay? So this is not a theoretical thing, including finding dead people. So I've done this and taken people to hospital, and because I'll always stop. I'll just say, wait, somebody might need me here. Why? Because that's how my parents raised me. Like, you can't be indifferent to a fellow human being. And it's a deep belief. And if I don't do it, it will haunt me. It will terrorize me. I will not be at peace because it's a deep belief. It'll keep telling you, you betrayed a core value that belongs to our family. Like, you can't do this. So think about the origin of your core values, where they come from, your family, your religion, the community, the mentors you had, the places you studied, and they are part of you. Now you can be, because you're adults now, you can be intentional about which values you declare as your core values. So later on, today, tomorrow, reflect. What are the things, and now the economics can come in, which are the things that are most important to me as a person? Like, never should it be said that I behaved in this way. Now, which value would drive such behavior? Then you articulate it. So let's say you ran away from some difficulty. You're like, that's cowardice. So I want courage as one of my values. Like, I am not afraid. However hard it is, no matter what the consequences to me, I will be courageous. And that can be a core value. Or integrity, the truth. I have this saying which you all have heard, the truth shall set you free. If you decide that truth or integrity is a core value for you, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. Because I'm not joking about always aligning to the truth. Imagine you decide today that I will always align with the truth and I will not be afraid. Then it means you're ready to take the consequences of always being truthful. That's hard. So someone asks you, hey, that assignment that Prof. Gudu gave you, so where have you reached? Like, 70% done. I think in another 3 days I should be done. Meantime, you're like, which project? He gave me a project. Ebu, let me check my email. Let me confirm. Oh my gosh, I don't even know how I'll deliver in the next 3 days. You're not truthful. Now, what if you decided, no, this is a core value. I have to be truthful. So what will you do? You know, if I say which assignment, you're in deep trouble from just from asking such a question. Are you ready to take the consequences? Are you courageous enough to take the consequences. Because I can imagine if it's Prof. Gudu or any of us, we'll just say, you don't even know which assignment I'm talking about and the deadline is 3 days away. You should be fired. This is crazy. And I'll totally agree. So those are possible consequences and they're playing out in your head. And so what do? You say, no, under control, like 70% done. That's a lie. That's a lie. And you're doing it to save your skin. You don't really care about the institution. You're doing it to save your skin and to make people think you're a responsible person, which you are not. And then, when you now finally check your email and you discover this is much tougher than you can do in the 3 days that you promised, then you say, well, I'll do 50% of it. Or I'll do it at 60% accuracy. Or I start thinking who I can blame for not having delivered. Like 2 weeks ago, I asked these people to do, they still haven't replied, so how am I supposed to? So you're trying to figure out the blame game, who to blame, how to protect yourself. You're coming up with very good excuses, or you're going to lower the standards. But you will definitely not do what the institution expected you to have done in the next 3 days. Why? Because you lied that you're 70% done. Now let's take the opposite reaction. You have a deep belief that I can't lie, no matter what the consequences to me, even if I risk my job. So then you tell, sorry, I might have forgotten, but which, because I have several things I'm doing, which one? Then they remind you, then you're like, ooh, honestly, I haven't started. Now they'll hit the roof. They'll be annoyed with you. You might be fired from the project. Or the person, of course, they'll spend 5 minutes ranting and raving about how irresponsible you are. Then after that, they'll ask you, now how is this going to be done? Then you'll say, I think if I get extra help, we can do it. Then he says, okay, I'll get the extra help, but you're disrupting everyone's lives because they have to stop what they're doing to help you get this done. But failure is not an option. You say, I understand, I'm really sorry, won't happen again, but I will deliver if I get these resources. Now you get the extra resources. Maybe we were supposed to deliver some training to I don't know whom or some project and a document we were supposed to send. By the end of the week, we've sent it. It's been done. We messed up quite a few people to get it done, but we got it done. And the good name of the university has been upheld. Why? Because you took the risk of being bashed. If you didn't take the risk, then in a few days' time, we don't deliver the report on time, or we deliver a terrible report that speaks of lack of professionalism and it reflects badly on the institution. But it's your lack of professionalism that is now being reflected as the institution's lack of professionalism because you are not courageous enough to try and save the institution. You valued yourself more than the institution. And so the institution got messed up. Or you had pretty good excuses in which you're blaming other people who are now in a terrible state because they are suddenly being blamed for your lack of professionalism, your negligence. And that'll break the teamwork because everyone thinks, this is how the game is played. Even I will look for ways of shooting you and bringing you down. Then you destroy the teamwork in the institution because you don't live up to the value of truthfulness and integrity and courage. You're just messing everything up. But if you decided to say the truth, you will save the institution because the institution will not want to fail and they'll do whatever it takes to succeed. And you will be punished, which is fine because you deserve it, right? I mean, actions have consequences. This is what you tell your children. If you do this, this will happen to you. Why should you be exempt? So take it like, I was taught to say like a man, but I have to be respectful to the women as well. But take the punishment. Take it. You deserve it, right? So say, yeah, I deserve it. How will you learn? By taking the punishment. You will never do that again. You'll never make a mistake like that again because the punishment was so harsh that you will just think twice before you're negligent again. So you will be better. What if you're fired? It's okay. That's what I deserved. Maybe they were too harsh to fire me, but I should have known that they're harsh people I'm dealing with, so I shouldn't play with fire, and I played with fire, and this is what you get when you play with fire. It's a rule of life. I've now learned the lesson. Wherever you go after that, you will be better, bigger. And one thing, even though you were negligent, one thing they cannot accuse you of is being untruthful. That one no one can accuse you of. And they will respect your courage. Like, who does that? Who actually digs their own grave, as we are watching? And this person had the courage to do it. And they'll remember. And if they're looking for someone they can trust, you're number one. And there's a high chance you will not be fired. Of course you will be scolded, but you will not be fired, most likely. In which case you will be better than before. And now they can trust you because you've earned it. And now those values that you have will be the currency that you use. This is your best CV. This is a man or woman of principle. When they say they'll do this, they will. You can take it to the bank, like guaranteed. This is a fellow who's ready to die to defend their values, ready to lose their job. They don't care. The biggest thing they fear is to tell a lie. That's an example of one of the hardest values that I can think of to live. So if you have the courage to name it as one of your core values, I warn you, it's hard. It's really hard. I've named it as one of mine, and I can tell you how hard it is. So before you take it, don't take it as a joke. Only take it if you're serious, and be ready to face any consequence. So those are the building blocks. You take a few values, you take the combination that will produce the culture you want, and then you make promises. That's what the governance is. We make promises, we check that we're keeping to what we promised, and when you deliver that, you'll be sustainable. People will come to you. They'll keep coming back to you. So that's my talk, and I'll now open it up to Q&A.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vincent Ogutu. We agree that was a moving lecture, do we? Yes. Many a times we are used to seeing the slides being scrolled down and we see definition of value. But today we got an all different talk where you can imagine he's memorized all these things and they're just flowing without being forced. Start right. Yeah, now I want to welcome you to participate. We want to have some questions from a number of you to Dr. Vincent over what he has talked to us. I was taking my notes. I'm not like him, so I'll refer.
It's good to refer.
But don't say I don't know where I'm going. Yeah, and one of the things he was saying, when people look at you, what do they see that can make them want to be associated with you? When people look at you, do they see that elegance? Do they see that happiness? Do they see that willingness to invite and attract them to Rongo University? I welcome questions from members. If you have a question.
Prof has one.
Yes, I'm trying to ignore
Both
the hands in front and start from the back.
That tells
Question?
You have values.
We have one. Any other person who is interested too?
Thank you. Good morning. I hope it is still morning. My question is not a question per se, but maybe something which would help us deliberate further on the topic. I want to first of all thank the speaker, the guest speaker, for the way he has handled this. I loved the way he started from the end, coming from the to the beginning of the topic, because the topic was value-driven leadership. organizational culture, and good governance for sustainable institutions. So he started from the end and came to the beginning. But let me say what I wanted to say is that, well, leaders lead in the society, and I'm trying to figure something happening in the society whereby we put a lot of expectations on the leaders, but we as the people who are led do not embody the values that we place on the systems which lead us. There's a growing disconnect between the expectations we we require from the leaders, while the people who are in the society are very passive. For example, the current generation try to put a lot of emphasis on what the leaders have to deliver. For example, if it is accountability, they will require 100% from the leaders. But we who are being led, we don't have that accountability. What is your say? What is your take on this?
Thank you very much. It actually, by you raising this leadership aspect, I realize I didn't deal with it directly in my presentation. I think for me, a leader is not a manager. A manager will just oversee things and get them done. These are the targets, these are the KPIs, these are the rewards and punishments. I'll implement the system and get things done. That's a manager. Now, a leader is a different kind of person. A leader is someone who influences, who makes people wish to go in a certain direction, who paints such a beautiful vision of where we could go to. And there's something about this leader that makes you want to follow them, that makes you trust that they can help you get to that beautiful vision. So they're not just painting a beautiful vision. We've heard that many times. You will finally have water, you'll have taps right in your village. Finally, it's a beautiful vision. And they look like they can do it because they're educated, they're close to power. So now the question is, will they do it? Are they honest enough to keep their promises? Then they are not. And so we get cheated over and over again. So a leader is someone that you trust will get you to that better place. And once you have such trust, you'll do anything for them. You will actually follow them anywhere, and you'll use all your energy to make it happen, whether you're paid or not, because you believe in that vision. And there's something about this person who is selling the vision to you that makes you see that they're serious, and I believe they're going to do it. And so I'll follow them. And in fact, I'll do even more than what I'm being paid to do, just to get it done because it's a beautiful vision. Now, what is it about the leader that makes you trust the leader? Trust has two major components, or two major dimensions. You trust people, first of all, because they have the capability. So you can have some neighbor who loves you, is very well-meaning, and says, I'll help you to get there. They obviously want you to get there, but they just don't have the knowledge. They don't have the education. They don't have the contacts. There's no way they can help you, even though they say, I'll help you. So you can't trust them because they just don't have the capabilities. But if they have the capabilities, then the next question is, do they have the honesty? So those are the two dimensions: capability and honesty. And now if I flip it around from why you would follow someone to why someone would follow you, the same logic applies. Do I project the image of a competent person? Like, I know what I'm talking about. I've got that experience. You've seen what I've done in this place, that place. You've seen the students who have passed through me and the places they have gotten to, the skill levels they have reached. So one of my promises to you, if you come to my course, is you will be transformed in the following way. And they can see it for themselves. Your track record precedes you. Then they'll believe it because you're competent. And then also you have to be known to keep your word. If you said, I'm going to do this, if you do this, then you don't, then they stop trusting you. So you have to keep your word, both for the good and the bad. So if you said, if you come late to my class, I'll lock you out, then please carry out the threat. Then they'll know you keep your word. Or if you say, if you do this, then I'll give you this reward. So for instance, when I was teaching a business class an undergrad business class at Rutgers in New Jersey, so I gave them group work. Why did I give them group work? Because I wanted them to learn team dynamics, and I also wanted them to make presentations so that they learn public speaking. And then I told them, public speaking, 70% of being a good speaker is you're loud enough to be heard. Otherwise, why are you speaking if we can't hear you? That's number one. Then number two is you look at the people that you're talking to. If you're just reading your notes, then you're not speaking to us, you're reading something. So if you can do those two things, you can look at the people that you're talking to and you speak loud enough, then in my group work presentation, out of 20 marks, I'll give you 10 for content and what you're doing. 10 is for public speaking because it's one of the deliverables I want to give you if you come to my class. And out of that 10, I guarantee you 70% if I can hear you from the back and your face is looking up most of the time. Those are the only two things you need to do to get the 70%. Now, if you want to get 10%, the other 10, then, now you have to do all the other things I associate with good public speaking, using gestures, varying your voice, pausing, using humor, special effects, if you want to get the 10 out of 10. But you can all get 7 out of 10 if you just do these two things. So you see, I promise and I deliver. And most of them learned something and they became 70% better than the average person just from attending that business class. And it has nothing to do with business. It's just my promise to them. If you come to my class, these are some of the benefits you will get. So deliver on your promises, and then you will have that, you'll meet that second dimension of I'm always honest, I keep my word. And then people will follow you, you'll be a leader. So values-driven leadership is about you living the values that you're trying to pass on to others. You don't have to be perfect. The fact that you're on the journey, seriously on the journey, gives you the moral authority to push others to do it. So let's say it's about being punctual. And you say, I will try to always be punctual. You won't do it automatically because you've not been punctual all along. It's a new learning curve. But the fact that you're trying, you used to be 1 hour late, now you're half an hour late, now you're 15 minutes late, now you're 5 minutes late, now you're late maybe half the time, then you start being late only 30%. They can see you on an upward trajectory. So you can actually talk to someone who's doing nothing and tell them, why aren't you making an effort? You have the moral authority because you're trying. So you don't have to be perfect to have the moral authority. You have to be seen to be sincerely trying for you to have the moral authority. So thanks for bringing up the leadership aspect.
Dr. Ari, in his lecture, he was giving us an example of a family, the Mboyas, and the dad could not allow. The father could not allow the son to go and sleep hungry. Allow me to apologize and bring to a halt a bit the question session. And say, I don't know how we can call it. Is it Rongorians or us? How do we refer to it? Us Rongo. He gave us a very good lecture.
You can use it.
We just want to appreciate him before we continue with the question and answer session for the good lecture that he gave us. When we appreciate it, we'll even sink more. And I want to pick on one of us who will know how to appreciate him in a better way than I can do, than ordinarily just clapping. And I'm looking at that one who is looking, putting his face down so that I don't pick on him. Dr. Halili, please just appreciate our guest for us.
We do it this way, right? I know your hands have been doing other things, all that, sleeping, whatever. So we warm. Warm? I'm not feeling the warm. vote, and then we strike one.
Thank you, thank you. We continue with the questions. I would allow 3 more questions at a go, then we can give our speaker time to respond to the 3 questions. We had Jerry Opande, then we have Winnie. Eh? Yes, and Dr. Sibori is looking at me and like, why do you want to give Dr. Nino? We'll go with Dr. Nino first, then we'll give you an opportunity.
Thank you so much, Madam. Daktari, thanks for the good presentation. I wanted to maybe just ask to the audience, or maybe to get more information, that because you indicated that culture in any organization is key to drive the agenda of the different institutions. And I don't know, when I was coming in, I met, I believe it's your driver. And when you look at the driver and also you look at the daktari, they are more or less the same. So I was like, is this the visitor? Or so I don't know whether that is also a culture of Strathmore, that people must look the same. Anyway, my question was, at what point should an organization be identified with its culture? At what point are we as Rongo? What is our culture? Maybe at what point is an organization identifying itself with its culture? And again, you talked about governance, and what you said about governance is telling us this and delivering the other. I don't know whether I captured it right. If I'm wrong, maybe you'll correct me. My question is, does governance involve both the leadership and the subordinate? At what point are we talking about governance? Is it that when the subordinate gets instructions from the leadership, or both of them say this and do this? Not that the leadership say this and do other, or the subordinate say this and do the other. At what point? Thank you.
Thank you. Just pass it to the next speaker, Winnie.
Thank you so much, Daktari, for the wonderful lecture. My name is Winnie Ojuando from ICT department. One of my core values as a person is integrity, but I've realized that integrity can be very dangerous if not well. So I would really love to know, how do you balance so that it doesn't burn you as a person? Thank you.
How do you balance integrity so that it doesn't burn you as a person? Yes, Dr. Lee?
Thank you so much for your talk. I guess my question is, every organization has a culture. I think that is now true. It may just not speak to the vision of that organization, but there is an existing culture. How hard or how easy is it to midwife now a culture that speaks to that vision, when you find yourself you have not defined it in the past, and it may not be the culture that you have developed, that you can be identified with, is not speaking to your values?
Thank you. How do you midwife a culture that speaks to your values? That is the question. Thank you.
Fantastic. So very good questions. So Jerry, about the driver, yeah, we're basically now very, very good friends, because he's called Japhet Baya and he's from the coast. But then when I took him, because he's been to my village, so then the people in my village asked him, "What's your name?" Then instead of giving his real name, he picked my nickname, which is Onyi, because I'm Vincent Ogutu. So everyone in my family calls me Onyi. So then he says, mimi ni Onyi mdogo, undio Onyi mkubwa. So now when he comes to my village, they call him, Onyi mdogo amekuja. So yeah, we're very close in Strathmore. There's no distinction. So, we eat the same food, we line up together. And when our drivers go for some of these community outreach things that we do, where our students go to mentor high school students for 1 or 2 weeks in a boarding school, then our drivers sometimes say, I can't just be sitting here watching you people mentoring and I'm not driving anybody. And these are high schoolers. And so then they now started offering to be mentors as well. So some of them are given a slot and they talk about life and the success factors for life, and they mentor these young people. And there's one who's a very good sportsman, so he's called Ndolo, not the Luo Ndolo, the Kamba Ndolo. And he started a tournament called Ndolo Cup. And I'm one of the sponsors of Ndolo Cup. So he has a whole tournament to help the youth. So they get inspired by what we do. And so basically you'll find that, what I was telling you earlier, as long as you're in Rongo, you're an educator. Don't tell me that I'm a caterer, I'm a cleaner, I'm an administrator, I'm not really a lecturer. No, all of you are lecturers. Everyone has an educational role to play, and our drivers do that. And sometimes if we see a student has a particular problem and no one else can talk, we know this student has a special relationship with that guard. So we go and tell the guard, huyo rafiki yako akona shida nyumbani, ongea naye. Then they sit down, what's happening at home, how can we help? Mental health. So it's because of these relationships. So what you noticed is true. And I didn't introduce him as my driver. I said tunafanya kazi naye kule Strathmore. And that's the way we do it. And it's true, because tunafanya kazi naye Strathmore, right? So you're asking about governance, like, does it involve both the people being governed and the ones governing? If you actually own the institution, like this is my institution, then all of us are governing at whichever level we've been asked to do. Obviously, you're not all the vice chancellor. The vice chancellor has a very big role to oversee everything. Then if you're a dean, you have that role, that school. You're a chair of a department. You're head of some department. You're head of a team. That is the part of Rongo that you've been asked to govern. And so you have to play your role. And it feeds into the overall vision of the university. For the university to achieve its vision, this is the strategy. The strategy is what helps you to achieve the vision. It spells out the work plan. It allocates the resources. And then it puts people in charge. Who will do this? So whenever you have a role, it's a governance role. So all of you have to do it. And part of governance is being transparent. Like, this is what I expect you to do, and this is how I will support you, and I promise to deliver this kind of support. And then you have to. So if it's the management board, you said we'll give the schools these resources, you do everything possible to give it. If you can't, then be transparent. Just explain, we didn't get the capitation, so we have to go into survival mode. Try and look at the budget, revisit which are the parts that have to be done, which parts can we sacrifice, but we're in it together. So that conversation has to be there as well. And that trust, because they're not lying to me, but they're just using the money for other things. You can actually see the transparency and the will to make all of us succeed. And remember, at every level, you're governing that particular jurisdiction that has been given to you. And if we all do it, then Rongo succeeds. So that's how it is. So everyone has a piece to play in the governance story. Then for Winnie, you're saying integrity is admirable but can be dangerous. If you live it to the level that I'm describing, you could almost see yourself burning out. And so how do you balance that? Maybe it's because of just my temperament, or that's the way I was raised. But I really, really believe the truth will set you free. Like, I really believe that. That even in situations where it looks dangerous and the truth will kill me, I'm such a firm believer that it'll set me free, that I'd rather take the risk than not take the risk in order to save my neck. I'd rather risk my neck and say I might even lose my job. But one thing I'll know I'm walking away with is my integrity. They won't say that I lied or I covered up or whatever. I'll actually take the consequences. Now, if you have the guts to take the consequences of your actions, I guarantee you will be better. And you'll not just be better, but you will be outstanding. You'll be an uncommon human being, the type that is very rare to get. Maybe the few 10%. And people will notice it. And because of that, because of your exceptionalism, the fact that you're exceptional, you will rise. Maybe not in this place which has now punished you, but in the next place and the next and the next, and you will rise. So the truth will set you free. So don't be afraid of the truth. Be afraid of lies, because the lies will destroy you. You will save your neck today, but we will discover your true self, and then we'll stop trusting you. You won't be the go-to person, and that's it. But if you're the go-to person, even the people who fired you in the past will say, but that, Winnie was actually both honest and competent. Maybe we were a bit too harsh. And when they read your track record in all the other places you've gone to, if there's something that is mission critical, you need somebody you can trust with your life, they'll say, do we know anybody like that? Because it's so rare in this country of ours. So remember, in economics, this is my economics coming back, the more scarce something is, the greater its value. The harder it is to find an honest person, the more you're ready to pay to have an honest person. Like, this is something that I can only trust, like almost hardly anyone. Like, so if you find someone, you'll pay whatever price because it's mission critical. So you'll be one of the few who can be approached for such a mission, because you protected the one thing that you should never let go of, and that's your integrity. So I really urge you to have the courage to do it. I can't give you proof. You have to experience it for yourself. So you have to take the hits and then have the long-term view. When you're taking the hits, you're in the middle of the pain. So you'll think, Dr. Ogutu lied to me. This was a terrible approach. I should have lied. But 1 month later, when everything is fine, 1 year later, you'll look back and say, I'm such a better person because I had the courage. I'm so glad I took the hit. So I can only tell you from my experience and the experience of people I know who've taken the risk, that the truth will set you free and make you bigger and better than you could ever imagine. So don't think you'll burn out. Take the risk of burning out for your integrity. That is the best way to cement that integrity. Because if you've done it once or twice, it actually gets easier. Because sometimes people use it like a threat. If you don't do this, then we will mess you up. Then you tell them, please go ahead. Now there's nothing they can do to you. They are powerless. They're used to instilling fear in people. If you don't do this, I will do this to you. Until they meet somebody who's fearless. Because the fellow will say, the only thing I fear is to do the wrong thing. And you're asking me to do the wrong thing. Say, but I'm going to inflict this pain. It's okay, bring it on. I can take it. We might even kill you, fine, bring it on. You can't kill my soul, only God can kill my soul. So you become fearless, and once you become fearless, you're the dangerous one now. They're the ones who fear you. So I encourage you, just embrace integrity, take whatever risks it throws at you, and it'll get easier every time until it becomes a way of life. You're so used to taking risks that it's not a big deal anymore. It'll get to that point, I guarantee. Okay, then the last one, is it Dr. Amino? Anino. So you're saying every organization has a culture, whether they intentionally created it or not. There will be a way that you do things around here. After a while, it's called in mathematics regression to the mean. It'll reach a certain average and equilibrium, and that's the way we do things around here, whether it was intentional or not. So then you're asking, so how easy is it to midwife a culture that actually speaks to what you intended to achieve? Gosh, it's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy. There are many things you have to get right. One is selection. Choose the kind of people who might succeed in that sort of a culture. Maybe have shown a natural interest. Sometimes you have no choice. These are the people selected for you. Then it becomes even harder. And because remember, it's not about management, making people behave a certain way. Because I can make you behave a certain way, but then when I leave, you'll be, thank God they removed that Dr. Ogutu monster, because he came up with a rule that you have to smile at the clients. And it's a rule, and he's policing it. I didn't see you smile. I didn't see you smile. And he'll punish it. And he'll reward the ones, the biggest smilers will be rewarded. So because of the draconian rules I put, Rongo will be a smiling university. Anyone who comes, people are smiling. The day I'm removed, the smiles disappear, because thank God that idiot has been removed. So for me, that's the difference between what I call compliance and what I call culture. Compliance is making darn sure that people do a certain thing, wapende wasipende, that's compliance. Culture is like preaching. People believe this is the way we should do things. That's why I said the building blocks of culture are values. And at root, at the genus level, a value is simply a belief. So if they believe that this is the best way to operate and to carry themselves, they actually genuinely believe it, then they have no option. Their own beliefs will make them smile, because they'll, let's say I try and tell you that a smile can go a long way, especially a genuine smile that comes from the heart. And so I urge you to discover the power and magic in a smile. Like, look at somebody in the face, genuinely wish them well, and say, good morning, how are you today? Like, really warm. And see how they react. And maybe they came looking sheepish. I've come to get my forms filled. Maybe my fees haven't been paid. Will I be allowed to do the exam? There's no hope. You can see all of that on their face. You're like, hi, how are you? Good morning, how's everything? What can I do for you today? Everything okay? You look a little worried. What's happening? Say, no, my parents haven't. Let's see. Okay, let's see what we can do for you. Sit here. Let's work this out. I'm sure. So you're giving hope. Then you just see the student who was dead, tired, defeated by life, walking out with a bounce, smiling at you like you're their mom or dad. And anytime they see you in campus, they come and greet you. Hi, how are you? And then it happens more and more often. Then you realize, I think I like the way I live my life. I think I'll just be smiling at people because I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know how far this smile will go. And I'll just put my heart into every engagement. So imagine as a leader, I sell this idea to you like a preacher. Then you, like a believer, you swallow it. You think, I think it makes sense. Actually, let me try it out. Then you try it out and your week changes from one week to the other. By next week, you're like, man, I can't imagine living my life any other way. I'm getting the rewards already. I'm happy to be here. People are happy to be with me. So even if Dr. Ogutu is sent somewhere else, you will continue doing it because you believe. It's a belief. It's a value. So when you have people who've not been selected for you, don't say, okay, then I will force them to do. No, that's compliance. It only lasts as long as you put the pressure yourself. But culture is something that you sell, that you convince people, and the best way to convince them is to exemplify it yourself, because it's not theoretical. The only way they'll believe is seeing is believing. You've heard that, seeing is belief. I see you do it, I see it works, then I believe. Once I believe, even if you're not there, it's my belief now, it's my core value. So all I would say is, don't get tired of preaching. Don't get tired of being a role model. Definitely try out these things in real life so that it's not theoretical. So try those values out. Read Rongo's values, interpret them, have a discussion with the leaders. How do you interpret it? How do you see it? Then if you believe it, try it out, and you'll believe even more until it becomes part of you. So that's the challenge. Get people to actually believe in the culture.
the last round of questions. The last round of questions, I'll take one from the crowd. Yeah, one from you. Then we'll have our DVCSR and our VC giving the last questions. Then we close the session for question and answer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vincent. My name is Yunek Ambani. I'm a graduate of Communication and Journalism in our own Rongo University. I have two questions. Now that you've talked about value-driven leadership, I want to ask, how can young professionals like me develop these value-driven leadership skills or traits in environments that seem to reward shortcut or mediocrity? Secondly, it's evident that people want to associate with Strathmore University. They want to study there. You've given us the case examples of students who are yearning to study at Strathmore. And so you began by saying it's not all about the buildings that the institution have or the physical things that the institution have. So what do you think, what is the practical governance practices that have helped Strathmore University so far to maintain those high national and international standards, and how can Rongo University add on what we have to attain such standards for sustainability? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Kilwa, Registrar. Mine is just one straight question. You know, we are people, the way you have said, values, beliefs, which I think, if you had asked me, I could have also said belief, deep beliefs. But you see, we come from different cultures. Plato, as he was preparing his students for any leadership, not anybody could be a leader. They went through some educational processes, and that processes was meant for purification of identifying who can be what. Now, given the education that we go through in Africa and in Kenya, and coming from different backgrounds and therefore belief systems, now we find ourselves together in an institution where we have the vision and the core values. And you see, I have my deep belief from like what you are telling us, that you'll be happier in a Simba where you came from. That is deep in you. But you know, the reality is we must be in a community, sacrifice these individual belief systems for the common good, like Plato said. How would we reconcile this kind of different backgrounds of different individuals, different cultures, who are in the same institution which has the same vision?
Thank you so much, Vincent, for excellent presentation. I just want to say what I will leave here with, because I think we've picked quite a lot of things you've said. There is something that struck me, and that is freedom with responsibility. You've emphasized it. And you even said that something a kijiti will knock your head or anything else like that. So you're talking about freedom with responsibility. And I think in a community like this, if there is freedom without responsibility, it can be risky, from what you said. And if there is no freedom, again, it will be very bad, because it's not a prison. So I picked that. I've picked a second thing. And this is, how much do you value teamwork? Because Rongo University requires teamwork. Every institution requires teamwork. School level requires teamwork. And the question I think I have heard is, how much do we value teamwork? Those two items I have picked, responsibility, freedom with responsibility, and then how much I value teamwork, leads to me a major question. And that's what I want you to help me with. Because there's something called emotional intelligence, which would make me not just think about myself. I should be thinking about the institution. I should be thinking about my behavior, what I say, what I do, how is it going to affect the next person. So as somebody, as a student of social sciences and brilliant at that, is this emotional intelligence so common that we can infuse it even to the people who don't have it, so that they respect the teamwork, so that they respect freedom with responsibility? Because it looks to me emotional intelligence has something to do with it. Is it common? Is it something we can teach people? Or it is like a geneticist, it is encoded in the genes, and if you don't have that genes, then there's nothing we can do about you.
Thank you. Dr. Ari, the floor is yours.
Okay. Yeah, very good, very good. These are excellent questions, by the way. Excellent questions. So I'll start with UNEC. So you're an alumnus, which is fantastic, that you have alumni coming back to help in the university. That's always a good sign. If they want nothing to do with that place, I don't want to ever hear about them again. Thank God I've graduated and gone. That speaks to the kind of value that you're giving. If they can come back, then it's an endorsement. It means there's something you're doing well. So congratulations to all of you. I'm just happy to actually meet an alumnus of Rongo who is a proud alumnus in this group. So congratulations, you're doing something well here. So you've said that here I am talking about value-driven leadership, but then the Kenyan environment rewards the opposite. In fact, as you talk to your students about integrity, they are looking at you like, which planet are you from? Like, you're telling me to work hard and be honest so that I rise, you know, as I get better and better. Like nonsense. I want to retire at 30 and to have already a big house, big cars, everything at 30. And then you tell them, but that's ridiculous. You can't do that. He says, I know people who've done it, and I know how they've done it. And it's not the way you're telling us to be. In fact, your system is a path to poverty and to lack of progress. And you need a good answer, right? Because they're looking at you and saying, we're actually driven by facts. You know, we are data-driven people. And the data is showing me these are the success factors. And yours, according to my prediction, I'll be just poor, like you. So, thank you very much. I'll answer the things you want to hear in the exam, but I don't believe it. Because it's not a belief. They don't believe it. So, how are you going to turn them around into value-driven leaders? So here's where I remember my first day at University of Nairobi. I was doing Bachelor of Arts. There are like 20 different subjects you can choose. You're supposed to choose 3. And each department was advertising itself. So the most arrogant whom I went to actually were the economists. So they came and said, we all know which is the most prestigious course in Bachelor of Arts. You automatically get jobs when you finish. It's all about the money, isn't it? So who will give you the highest salary? It's us. So I have no points to make. The evidence speaks for itself. Choose economics and success is yours. And then he sits down. Then the French department comes up and says, I guarantee you anything you do, you add French, you double your salary. Even if you're just a gardener, but you're a gardener for the French embassy, for the Swiss embassy, for the automatically, what are the chances of a gardener in Kenya knowing French? You're in a class of your own. So you add French and you double your money. So then I was like, hey, these people are interesting. So now the philosopher came. So now I was saying, okay, what are these? Because this is definitely the one course people are going to avoid, because it is not leading to any job. Like, what will this guy say? So then the philosopher came and said, I've been listening to my colleagues and how they are trying to win your hearts. And they are all talking about the money that they can give you and whether they can give you more or less money. Now, I'm going to take you a step further back. Why do you need the money? Have you asked yourself the question? You need the money because you think it'll give you access to certain goods and pleasures and everything. And that's what you're looking for. So you think it'll give you access. Fine. What if you get those houses and those cars? Then what? Why do you want them? So I'm taking you further and further back. It's because you want to be happy. You think they'll give you happiness. Now, here's the thing. I can give you happiness immediately. You don't have to take the long route to happiness. I understand human nature better than any of these people over here, and I can show you how to find happiness today, if you wish. But it's reserved for the enlightened, the few enlightened, and you will get enlightened by studying philosophy. I rest my case. So I was like, wow, this is impressive. So, and actually later on, now that I've gone through life and I've also studied philosophy on my own, I realized how truthful it was. Like, when I was coming, I was talking with Prof. Gudu on the way. I was saying, man, you guys are lucky. Just the scenery, the things, the countryside, the landscape. And I was like genuinely happy. And it's the landscape. And it's free. I mean, I haven't paid. I don't need a job with a lot of money. I just need to have the level of appreciation for the basics in life, like just beauty, meeting interesting people. I can tap into that and find happiness. And it might sound theoretical until you meet someone who actually does it. Like, I can be incredibly happy with very little. I can take one song and listen to it 10 times because I appreciate music. I understand how to appreciate it. So I'll listen to it, say, yeah, that's the overall melody, very nice. Then I'll say, ooh, listen to the 1-2 between the percussions and the lead guitar. What the heck is the bass guitar doing? Wow, that's amazing interaction. Oh, there's a sax solo. Goodness, how is he going to come back to the melody? Okay, now he's signaling to the vocalist that I've done my solo, back to the vocalist. So I'm listening to it at such a high technical level that I'm getting so much enjoyment from just one song. And most people would just, it's a nice song. For me, it's genius. And I'm getting so much pleasure because I've educated my ability to make sense of it and to enjoy life. And I can teach that to people. And I can tell them, you've been sold a dud. They're telling you need to get this to be happy. Look at their lives. Look at, like, you need protection all the time. Prof told you I go running. I do marathons. Where do I practice? On the street. I can leave Lavington in Nairobi and run all the way to Ngong Town and back. And every now and then people will hoot, hey, VC, hi, and I'm there, Mzee Wakazi on the road. Then I'll stop at a Mamamboga somewhere in Karen and say I need to refuel. I'll get a small Coke. Atunafanya nini? Hii ni petroli. Unaenda wapi? Ngong. Hii ni petroli. Nikiwa na petroli naweza fika mahali popote. Then, so I do all these things. I'm happy. And then the students can see, yeah, it's true. I actually wouldn't mind being like this guy. And he doesn't have those big cars or whatever, but he seems happy. So you have to find a way to help it to demystify what happiness is, remove the assumptions you've been cheated. And maybe you're looking at me skeptically right now, and I understand, because you haven't been through the journey. Because it sounds theoretical to you. I understand. You can't just wake up and because you had this preacher for 5 minutes, you believe. Like I said, I can't prove it to you. You have to try it out yourself. When you see that what I'm telling you is true, then you believe. So this is what we do as educators. You try and convince the students there's a better way. Give them role models of people who've done fairly well, but they're not like crazy rich, but they have everything they need. So I can do anything I want. If I decide to go for a holiday in Hawaii, I can do it. I just don't do it because I'm like, no, I think I'll get more pleasure by educating this kid from Kapio and putting them in school. I have a picture right now of 3 kids from Kapio having lunch at Strathmore. They got a scholarship. I was sent a picture. I sent it to the people in Kapio. I'd get much more happiness sponsoring them than going for a holiday in Honolulu or Hawaii or whatever. But it's a choice. And you might say, no, it's theoretical. Try it out. Try it out. And that's what you tell these students. Now, you say it's an environment that rewards the opposite. I would say, but that's the environment where you can stand out. If you're in an environment where everyone is good, then you're one more good person. If you're in an environment where most people are trying shortcuts, then you're this one person who doesn't compromise, who you can depend on to do the right thing, to be fair, to be just, to give you what you deserve, to do the job they've been paid to do, not to be a roadblock, taxing people to get their own rights. And you're happy with your life, you will stand out. You will be outstanding. So I don't see it actually as something that is a challenge. Oh no, you're in a tough environment. This is your opportunity. If you're in a tough environment, I saw one of, innovation. This is your chance to stand out by being in a tough environment. Okay, you asked about Strathmore University. How do we maintain those standards? Any practical advice? So I would say be a learning organization. Constantly learn. And the fact that you even have this learning session today shows that you're willing to pick up a few tricks and to go. The fact that you and Strathmore belong to the Education Collaborative, which is peer universities in Africa teaching each other and learning from each other. That's great. That's one way to maintain those standards and to keep growing. And then, of course, there's the transparency, where each level of governance has a real, genuine conversation with the people that they're governing and saying, how can we help you? How can we move together? This is what we promised to do. Then we keep our promises to the extent that we can. And if there are difficulties, we speak about them openly. That transparency will help you to maintain the standards. Because for us to keep selling the same dream, they have to see that we're living it and we're people of our word. So keep your word and you will maintain those standards. Okay, so I took a bit of time on you next questions. Now I'll go to Plato. So you brought up Plato. You said not everyone can be a leader. So there's a sifting program to determine who becomes a leader. But here we are talking of value-driven leadership as if everyone can be a leader. There was that issue, and then there was the issue of sacrificing personal beliefs for the organization. Do we do that? Do we not do that? So in terms of not everyone can be a leader, I'll agree and disagree in the sense that not everyone is going to head an organization. There's only one head. If all of you are VCs, there'd be chaos. Who do we turn to? Who will make the final decision? So there's only one vice chancellor. It's just the way things are organized. Even in nature, you will find that there's some sort of hierarchy and even a dominance hierarchy. And there's a lot of science in sociology and anthropology about that. And even just in the animal kingdom, just studying the dominance hierarchies. So not everyone can be at the top, but you don't have to be at the top in order to be happy. And here's where philosophy and those philosophers, University of Nairobi, were right. Because who said you have to be the one at the top for you to be happy? Like, have you ever questioned that value system? That the only measure of success is you're at the top. You have to question that, because it's basically then condemns the majority to a life of sadness, which I don't think is how we were designed to be. If God designed the system we're in, then if that's the truth, then God designed a terrible system where you'll only have one CEO and everyone else is miserable, trying to remove the CEO to get on top. And yet God created dominance hierarchies. So it must be possible for everyone to be fulfilled and to be happy without necessarily being the one at the top. Why? Because think of it just as a role. And that's why I can talk about my driver and say, we work in Strathmore. We have different roles. I'm the CEO, he's the driver. I can't do what he does. He doesn't do what I do. And it's fine. So I do what I do best, he does what he does best, and together we form a fantastic team. And then we are both happy. So he's happy. He doesn't need to be the CEO to be happy. He's quite happy. I'm quite happy with what I'm doing because I can't do what he's doing. And so I think not everyone can be the top leader in that sense. It's just a role, like every team has a captain. And your captain, your job as a captain, keep everyone on vision, motivate everyone. Then the other people, you focus on catching those goals. You focus on defending and pray. You focus on sending the passes for. You focus different value systems. Then we come to wrong systems. Then we come to Rongo and we're told these are the Rongo values. Now, do I give up mine, take up Rongo's? Do I sacrifice my values? So I think it's a marriage. It's like a marriage. So when you get married, you agree with the partner. These are the things we do together. You don't sacrifice where you come from. It's where you come from. But there might be some sacrifices you make, but they don't have to be totally incompatible. There's a lot of overlap, and you really emphasize those. And then there might be some differences, and you see to what extent you need to sacrifice. And then at some point, our paths diverge, and that's fine. So every now and then someone will come and say, I wanted you to know this before I tell anyone else, but I'm leaving Strathmore. Then I'll be like, oh, where are you headed to? Say, well, I've been given an offer to do this and that, and it's a growth opportunity for me. So I just tell them, it's these bits of news are bittersweet in the sense that we'd love to have people with, like any parent, you're glad when the birds leave the nest, that they have reached the age where they can do without you, and they're going to a big world out there, and they're going to excel, so we're happy for you. So I always express the fact that we're happy that they gave some of the best years of their life to us, and they're now moving on to something that's going to make them grow bigger and better, and that's fantastic. And they'll always be friends, they'll always come back, they'll always refer people to us, so we never lose them. They're like the alumni, they'll come back. So find the overlap, emphasize it, but if someone has to leave, it's okay. That's what we are proud to see, people go to higher places. Then the last intervention by the VC. So how much do you value teamwork, you asked? A lot, because you can do more with a team than as an individual. This is why they convinced me to be the Vice Chancellor. I did not apply. It was not my career plan. In fact, I refused. I said, my life is complete. I see myself as a researcher who goes into communities and asks them, what problems do you have? And then I take it upon myself to research them, to innovate, to come up with fantastic solutions, to see an entire community change. Then I'm happy. Then I take the next challenge and the next and the next. So I had a formula for the rest of my life, which seemed super interesting, and I don't need any position to feel good about myself. I get more joy from the impact that I'm doing. But it's a solo mission. So then they came and told me, what makes you think you will succeed in changing all these communities? What makes you think they'll even listen to you? Like, nobody knows you. I'll say, but I said, my competence will speak for me. Then they asked me, how long did you live in the United States? Then I told them, they said, no, too long. You're speaking like an American. This is Kenya. Let us educate you. In Kenya, we say, who is that who is speaking? No, some lecturer, and they're not listening anymore. So this is the Vice Chancellor of Strathmore University. Now they are paying attention. Oh, it must make sense. You've not even made any sense. Just the fact that you're the Vice Chancellor of Strathmore. Of course, anything you say will be seen to make sense. It has authority. So then they told me, we're actually giving you an opportunity to do what you want to do, but at scale, at a much higher level. So if you're actually being truthful that you want to help people and impact societies, we don't see how you can say no to this opportunity. Like you tell us how it's consistent with everything you're telling us. So I realized they had done their research. The only answer out of this was to say, yes, I'll do it. But it's because they said, look, you can't do it alone. You can't change all these societies on your own. We're giving you the opportunity to create an environment where people like you can thrive and go out there. You won't be on the front lines like you want to be, but just being on the back line, sending out an army of people who have the same culture, who are transforming, you will have a much bigger impact over time. And any tiny thing you say will go far, just because of the title. Not even because of your eloquence or your personal knowledge. Just the title alone is adding gravitas to anything you say. And so the only answer you can give us is, yes, I will be the Vice Chancellor. So I said yes. So all I'm telling you is I believe in teamwork, because I look at the sorts of things that I'm now impacting. There's no way I could do it on my own. I don't even have the expertise. So one moment I'm talking to lawyers, and we're looking at something that could change the legal system of the whole country and go all the way to Mashinani, the villages. And I'm talking to the Chief Justice, and we're sitting there and we're having this conversation. Like, yeah, let's do it. Strathmore will do this. You do this piece. Then we'll get the banks to do this. Then the chair of Kenya Bankers Association is in the room. We're like, okay, Strathmore, you teach mediation to the local chiefs. You, Martha Koome, get us the local chiefs. And then I'll talk to all the bank CEOs to bankroll this thing, and done. I'm like, wow, I'm going to be solving disputes in Mashinani all over Kenya just from this lunch conversation with these higher ups that have had the privilege to sit on a table. And then next thing I'm doing, I'm talking to somebody about climate change, and I'm now meeting the ambassador of Australia, and I'm meeting the vice chancellors of 2 Australian universities, and we're looking at green hydrogen. Then we turn to the Kenya government to say, we'd like to see how Strathmore does it. So you teach Kenyans how to generate energy from hydrogen and feed it into the national grid, like you did with solar. We did it with solar. So I'm like, oh, wow. So I'll get a chance to open a new avenue for energy for Kenya just from this conversation. And I'm not even an engineer. I'm not an energy guy. I'm not a lawyer. So I'm in so many different high-level conversations which require teams to carry out things. So I believe in teams. There's no way you can achieve great things on your own as individual professionals. You need to work with teams. So I totally believe with teams. So then you asked, well, do teams work well if there's emotional intelligence? Is it a prerequisite? I would say it's a very important prerequisite. And your next question was, but is it like a God-given gift? If you have it, you have it. If you don't, too bad. In some cases, yes, but it's teachable. It's actually teachable. And if you ask me what my superpower is, so I know Prof read an extensive CV. I tried to convince him by sending him a shorter one. And in the shorter one, it would simply say that I identify as a teacher. I try to bring out the best in people and show them how they can have an impact by being the best that they can be. And that's it. That's the end of my CV. So what's my superpower? Since I identify as a teacher, the one thing I can guarantee you that I can do and will probably not fail or rarely fail is if I understand anything, I can teach it to anybody. I am a teacher. I know what route I will use to make it. I'll understand why they are not understanding. I'll figure them out. I will deliver. Anything that I understand, I can pass it on. That's my superpower. So, emotional intelligence, yes, I understand it. Can I teach it? Absolutely. Is everyone teachable? Yes. As long as they're willing to learn. Of course, you can't flog a dead horse. You can take a horse to water, you can't make it drink. We've been told that. You need a willing learner. If I have a willing learner who wants to learn emotional intelligence, I can teach them. It's teachable, Prof. Gudu. It's totally teachable. And now to wind up, I'll give you a 2-minute masterclass on emotional intelligence and the building blocks. So we all kind of understand what it is. Like I can read feelings, right? I can read emotions. I'm emotionally intelligent. But that's only half of what emotional intelligence is. The fact that you can read and correctly interpret and label emotions is 50% of emotional intelligence. The other 50% is, and I can do something about it. I have the power to do something about it. So let's say I interpret my own emotions. I do a CT scan and I say, what's that strange emotion I'm experiencing right now? And it's anger. Then that's half of it. I now know what I'm going through. That's intelligent. I know I can diagnose. A doctor who can diagnose correctly is pretty good, but they're only halfway, right? They only become excellent doctors if they can cure. So in addition to correctly diagnosing, they know exactly what you need to do to get to a better place. That's the other 50% of emotional intelligence. So I now know I'm angry. Can I stop myself being angry or decide whether I will continue to be angry? I can evaluate. I'll say, I am justified in being angry, and this anger is my fuel to do what I need to do. Then I will encourage the anger. If I see, no, I really shouldn't be angry about this, so I am excessively angry. It's annoying, but not to the extent that I'm getting angry, so I need to tone down. Can I make myself tone down? How fast can I make myself tone down? Will it take several days, a week, hours? Can I do it within minutes? Can I literally switch from being very angry to being normal in seconds? The faster I can do it, the more emotionally intelligent I am. And that's the part of control. So half of emotional intelligence is understanding what's going on, both in yourself and in others. So 25% is I understand myself. I can read myself and interpret myself and label every emotion perfectly. 25%, we take it. I can look at other people, look at the way they're behaving and reacting and everything, and I'll say, I know what's going on. That's the other 25%. That's the 50% of knowing what's going on. Now, the other 50% is ability to control. Then we start with 25%, controlling myself. I can determine what to do with that emotion and where I want to emotionally end up within seconds. At the highest level of intelligence, within a few hours, at lower and lower levels, it'll take a month for me to cool down. That's very low emotional intelligence, so you're now getting 3 out of 25. But if within seconds, I can get myself exactly where I want to get myself, 20 out of 25 for self-control. Then the last 25 is pretty hard, which is controlling other people's emotions. Like I can make an entire room, even forget an entire room, one person who is annoyed to calm down. And it won't take a week, and it won't take an hour. Maybe it'll take minutes. How the heck do you do that? That's very emotionally intelligent. That's maybe 10 out of the 25. Then I can do it for a whole room of people. Gosh, you're getting to 20 out of 25. All that is emotional intelligence. Now, teamwork, people will fight each other, there'll be conflict, and you're trying to bring them all together, pull behind a certain vision. You definitely need emotional intelligence to do that. And it is teachable, so there's hope. So thank you very much. I think I'll hand over to the MC.
Thank you, Dr. Vincent Ogutu. As we close up the session, just a question I'm asking for someone. In this part of the country, when someone talks of Onyango Ogutu, then we expect an image like the man seated on my right. But here we are talking of Dr. Vincent, not Dr. Vincent, talking of Dr. Onyango Ogutu, but very light, which is very rare from this side of our region.
So you're asking for a friend?
Yes. I'm asking for a friend. So
the way I usually answer it is, what if Obama came in here? Obama is a Luo name, right? So he says, my name is Barack Obama. And you're like, no, you can't be Obama. Like, you're Obama, like how? Then he says, my dad is Obama. In fact, when he was first asked that at the airport in Kenya, he was with his sister, and the sister was translating, ati huu mbona na jina ya Kikenya, ya Kijaluo? And then the sister translated for him. Then Barack told her, tell him I'm a Luo. And so that's the way Barack would answer it, because yes, his dad was Luo, he has Luo blood in him. But then, as you know, we Luos were very international. We have Luopians, we have Asian Wajaluos, we have everything. So I'm part Portuguese, part Indian, and mostly African. So I'm a citizen of the world, biologically, but culturally I'm 100% African, because I never met the foreign parent, who was my father actually. Then my mom, who's from Alego, Ulafu, got married to my dad from Miguena, Sakwa, Bondo. So basically I was raised from when I was 1 year old by a Luo dad and a Luo mom. So I've grown up culturally 100% Luo, which you wouldn't know because you've never spoken with me in the Luo. To ajagueng, okunyal kuda. Manodoga. To kunya tugo koda. Hawinje maber.
Thank you, thank you.
So I hope that you can tell your friend, he's a Luo.
My friend, you've heard, huh? I'm sure most of us are now at peace. As we wind up the session, allow me to call on Professor Daniel Tarus. Please come and introduce yourself to our guest speaker. Give a few remarks and vote of thanks.
Now I can see.
Yeah, our guest speaker, Dr. Ogutu, Vice Chancellor and members of management and everyone in this room. Good afternoon. I'm Daniel Tarus. I'm the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration, Finance and Planning. Sorry, I walked in a bit late when you had started. I had an online meeting and I've enjoyed your presentation. It's the most exciting discussion that we have had today, because really it touches the values, it touches what we want to become, and really it has landed somewhere. And I like what the Vice Chancellor said, because we build institutions like this through teamwork, and for us to have that teamwork, then our values must converge somewhere, regardless of where we come from. As you say, you are a Portuguese. I lost somewhere in India, and I lost somewhere in a Lagos Sogan. You can see that you are able to bring all those values together and be able to carry a whole team. So as a university also, we have learned a lot. Really, that even as Rongo, we can put together values and make our values speak for what we want to become. So it has come at the right time. And we have been, looking forward. I wish Jane was here. She's been working on organizational culture. But today, I think the message is home. That culture is the way we do things around here. And we also know that somebody says, culture eats something for breakfast. It eats strategy for breakfast. The moment you have the right culture, then you have the rights. You have an organization that works. So, VC, thank you very much. We will, with the blessings of the VC, maybe a few people to go and see these people that smile at. We want to see the reality. These people smiling, these students smiling. How? I'm even asking myself, how are they smiling? I want to see them smile. But it is true. I've been there a number of times. I've come severally to do some evaluation of your programs, and I've actually attended the cafeteria up there, and it is true. And I know some of us, we have been there. It is also possible to get where Strathmore is. I know really we are running together a program, the collaborative program. We would want to translate this into something that we can borrow, especially the values, because values builds organizations. We want to appreciate, most sincerely. It is one of those lectures that really get into us, and we feel like you've spoken to us as an institution. So we want to appreciate. Thank you very much. And VC, thank you for choosing Professor to come and talk to us. We are honored. We are honored. We don't take this for granted. And we want to say, bring him back again, because that is the only way we can work together. Colleagues, thank you for coming and being part and parcel of this journey. Thank you for making time. I know most of our staff are out on field attachments and teaching practice. Some have managed to come, and we really want to appreciate their coming. Everyone, thank you so much. It's an honor to have this kind of session. We want to talk to our inner souls. That way we can be able to make changes in this organization going forward. Thank you very much, and we wish you well. We'll look for you again. Thank you. I want now to, as we conclude, we do a round of applause. I don't know who will lead us. I think Registrar, you can. We identify somebody who can be able to give us the last. We want to really thank the speaker for the wonderful messages that he has brought to us at Rongo University. So you can get us somebody to lead us in that. You can do it yourself.
I'm trying to look, my eyes are blinded. But I'll try. So as Dr. Halili said, let us warm our hands. And since the person who has been talking to us has been a philosopher, and the man of the home is a scientist, now we want to go science way. And there is something mathematicians call factorial. Do we understand? Yes. Do we know how to go to do it? Yes. Now we'll start with 3 factorial. Yes. Ready? Yes. 1. You have failed me. You have failed me. Supplementary to all of us. So we imagine this is the month of August and we want to receipt our supplementaries. So let us start again. And you know the leader of the supplementary was a dean. And he's just looking at me. We start 1. Thank you very much. I'm told at the end of this session, there is some refreshment that has been organized for all of us just outside here. But before we partake of the refreshments, we'll have a photo session in front of the administration block. We shall be guided by the corporate communications team. Nick and Brian are here. And then as we break off from this room, Madam Damaris Anyiso, you can give us a word of prayer and pray for the refreshments outside. If I was given an opportunity to act as a VC for a second, I could have said, let us have snacks and come back the whole afternoon so that we can retain Dr. Ogutu and learn from his wisdom. Thank God I'm not the VC for that 1 second.
Let us believe and pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you and honor your name. We thank you for the time you've given us, my Father, to sit under this roof. I want to thank you, my Father, for the impacting knowledge that has been bestowed upon us. We thank you for each and everyone that has partaken of this, O King of Glory. And we pray that, my Father, the knowledge and the wisdom that we've been